The movie starts with a scientist and his daughter, Wei. They both have a weird mark on their face that made them look less pretty. The scientist had a lab in his house and was doing experiments for a long time. Wei was drawing a picture of a special flower, a crop flower. Her dad told her it was a flower with lots of healing power, and it only grew sometimes in the jungle. He said he used it in his experiments. After a long time, the scientist made a liquid that could hide his mark. He made a liquid that could mix two things together. He cut a piece of skin, put a chemical on it, and stuck it on his face. Right away, the skin started to grow, making new skin. It started to cover his mouth and the mark. He got very scared because he didn't want this to happen. He only wanted to hide the mark, but the skin covered his whole mouth. Scared, he cut the skin off his lips, but it grew back. It spread all over his eyes and nose. He kept cutting it from his lips and eyes. He was very scared. Wei saw all this and was scared too. She stabbed her dad with a knife and killed him. Wei was very sad and broken. She killed her dad, and now she was alone. Time passed and she studied hard, like her dad. She was very smart and got a scholarship to a big university in the US. She left her home and went to the US. In the US, she lived with her aunt. Her cousin, Angie, wasn't happy because she had to share her room. Wei made a small shrine in her room with her dad's picture. She thought of her dad like a god and prayed to him. Later, we see Wei looking at her dad's notes and things. We learn she's still doing the same experiments that killed her dad. The next day was Wei's first day at university. On her way, she saw a homeless man with a messed up face. Wei looked at him for a few seconds. He helped her find the university. Then she left. In class, the professor introduced Wei to everyone. She got 100% on the test, which hadn't happened in years. After class, Wei went to the science lab and tried to take some things. The professor saw her and asked what she was doing. Wei said she needed things for her experiments. The professor said she couldn't take things, but she could use them if she became his lab assistant. Wei told him her dad was a scientist, and she wanted to continue his work. She showed him her dad's research diary. The professor was surprised. He looked up Wei's dad and found out he was a genius scientist, but he couldn't finish his work because he didn't have enough money. Meanwhile, Angie's two friends came to her house. They started stealing Wei's things. They found tools with blood, weird experiment things, and scary pictures. They got scared. The next day, Angie was still sitting with her friends. Wei was happy to see Angie's friends. She wanted friends too, so she went to them and became friends. She offered to buy them lunch. Because of the mark on Wei's face, the girls didn't really want to go, but they agreed to go to a restaurant. When they saw Wei eating in a strange way, they left her alone. Wei packed up the food and gave it to the homeless man with the messed up face. She talked to him because she was sad. She told him her face mark made her ugly. The homeless man said she was still beautiful. Talking to him made Wei feel better. On her way home, she met her professor, who gave her a ride. He had written a plan to help her finish her dad's research. He needed Wei's permission. Wei was happy to agree because the professor was the first person to help her. The next day, they started working on the experiment. After many days of hard work, the experiment wasn't working. They weren't getting the results they wanted. The professor got frustrated and decided to stop. That day, when Wei was sad, Angie's friend Alice came to the lab. She wanted to be a lab assistant, and the professor agreed. Alice went home with Angie. On the way, she apologized to Angie for being mean before, and they became friends. Alice had a poster with a picture of the same flower Wei's dad used in his experiment. Wei was confused. She remembered her dad saying the flower was important for their experiment. She found out the flower was in an exhibition and decided to steal it. At night, she went to the farm and stole the flower from the exhibition. She took the flower to the lab and started her experiment. The professor and Alice were hiding in the lab, but Wei didn't see them. She took liquid from the flower and added it to her experiment. Then she cut a piece of skin from her foot, cut it in half, and put the liquid on it. The liquid made the two pieces of skin join back together. She put the liquid on the spot where she cut the skin and put the piece of skin back. The skin turned white and started growing back. The professor watched everything from the window and was surprised. He sent Alice away and went to Wei. He asked her what she was doing. Wei explained how the flower liquid made their experiment work. When Wei showed the professor the skin on her foot, Alice got jealous and took pictures of Wei's strange things. Then she yelled at Wei and took her away. Wei was scared and left her notebook in the lab. The professor was happy. Alice sent the pictures to Angie. The professor started translating Wei's dad's diary. Angie was angry when she saw the pictures and broke things in Wei's room. Wei was sad when she saw the mess. Suddenly, Angie attacked Wei from behind. Wei tried to defend herself, but Angie was trying to kill her. Wei grabbed a pen and tried to push Angie away. The pen went into Angie's neck, killing her. Wei didn't mean to kill her, but Angie was dead. Scared, Wei took Angie's body to the bathroom. She started thinking crazy things. She cut off Angie's skin. She took the skin from Angie's mouth. injected her own serum, and put Angie's skin on her own mouth. Wei's face and Angie's skin mixed, and she looked exactly like Angie. Angie's mom came home and hugged Wei, thinking she was Angie. She was happy. Wei realized this was a good way to live. She didn't have to be Wei anymore. The next morning, she wore Angie's clothes and acted like Angie. She started enjoying Angie's life. At university, she met Angie's boyfriend. It was the first time a boy was so close to her, and she liked it. She started living Angie's life with Angie's face. She thought her life as Wei was boring. She had Angie's friends, boyfriend, and loving mother. She went on a date with Angie's boyfriend. When they were getting close, Angie's skin started peeling off Wei's face. The boy was terrified. It was creepy. He ran away and fell down a slope, dying. Scared, Wei went home and looked for her dad's notebook. It might have the secret to making the skin stay on permanently. She couldn't find it because the professor had it. She used the little serum she had left and injected it into her skin, changing back to Angie's face. The professor was looking for the flower that would make the experiment work. He got a call from the translator who was translating the notebook. The translator said the experiment was dangerous and risky and told the professor to stop, but the professor didn't listen. Wei went to university to get her dad's book. She couldn't find it in the lab because the professor gave it to the translator. She called the professor, who said he had the book, but wasn't giving it back. He was going to publish the experiment in his name. Wei was angry but couldn't do anything. She left quietly. Outside, she saw Eve and learned that Eve was also involved with the professor. She decided to take her anger out on Eve. Pretending to be Angie, she invited Eve to the house. When Eve arrived, Wei attacked her. Eve tried to escape to the garden, but Wei caught her and killed her with a drill. After killing Eve, she took Eve's skin and put it on her own mouth. Now she looked exactly like Eve. She styled her hair and clothes like Eve and copied Eve's style from her phone so no one would recognize her. During this, the neighbor's dog was barking a lot. The neighbors called the police. When the police came, they saw Wei dressed as Eve in a towel and left. The next morning, Wei, looking like Eve, went to university and felt good. Eve was popular and everyone was happy to see her. Then she went to the professor's house. She knew she'd find her dad's notebook there. The professor didn't know it was her, so he let her in. Eve searched the whole house but couldn't find the notebook. She went back and hid Angie and Eve's bodies in the pool. Then she checked Angie and Eve's phones and found a picture of herself and the professor, which Alice was using to make her look bad. She used this picture against the professor and emailed it to the authorities. When the authorities found out the professor was using girls, they arrested him, but he was powerful and got out on bail the next day. He went home and started the same experiment as Wei's dad. He made the serum and joined 2 pieces of skin. The experiment worked. The professor was happy, but not for long. Eve came to the professor's house, still looking like Eve. The professor was excited. She made him sit in the living room and went to get food. She needed her notebook. She found it in the cabin, along with the serum the professor had just made. She took the serum and ran away. The professor was suspicious. He checked the cabin and saw the serum was gone. That night, Wei was home with her real face. Alice came and said her 2 friends had disappeared. She was sad. Wei hugged her and comforted her. Alice went to get water and opened the fridge. She saw her friend's body parts frozen inside and screamed. Before she could tell anyone, Wei covered her face with a clay trap and suffocated her. She didn't hide this murder. The doorbell rang, and the professor came in. He saw the open lock and went inside. Wei was sitting strangely. When she saw the professor, she laughed. She congratulated him on the successful experiment, but then angrily said it was her dad's experiment, not his. The professor ignored her and went to the fridge to get his serum. He opened the fridge and saw the dead bodies. Shocked, Wei used a clever trick. She injected the professor with a knockout drug, making him unconscious. When he woke up, he saw Wei had removed all his skin. He screamed. Wei put the serum on the professor and put a piece of skin on his body. The skin started growing like it did on her dad at the beginning of the movie. Wei put a straw in the professor's mouth. The skin started spreading everywhere, covering him. The skin covered the professor and he couldn't breathe. He died quickly. The neighbors heard his screams and called the police again. Eve saw the police coming and ran away. She knew she'd be caught. The police chased her. While running, she found the homeless man and asked for help. He liked Eve because she was always nice to him. He hid her under his bed, and the police couldn't find her. When Eve sat up, the serum she had broke. Because of the broken serum, her body and the homeless man's body started to mix together. Their bodies fused, and they turned into a strange monster. Eve couldn't do anything. She was a monster now. Then she saw her aunt, and who was looking for Angie. Eve couldn't tell her aunt about Angie, and that's how the story ended.